Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L coming in to just do a very quick Dr. Stone impressions video. I don't think I'll be doing these too often in the future, but I'm just doing it today because I want to catch up with the events of 119. And I also, might as well just talk about the events of 120 since 120 was a pretty interesting chapter, to say the least. So first off with 119, the reason I want to talk about 119 is because there was like a little video I made about the theory about maybe the stone would rejuvenate people, maybe turn them younger. As we saw in chapter 119, that wasn't the case, unfortunately, and that's probably better. It's probably simpler that way, but we did get a portion of the theory right. We got the lesser variation of the theory that I had talked about, specifically that when Kaseki came out, he was going to be the youngest old man, and yeah, we did get information. He did lose, as Senku called it, I believe, because I'm not looking at that chapter right now. He lost the old man pains, like arthritis. So that's pretty good. I imagine if he has other little things like degradation of his heart, I imagine his heart would have been restored to some higher degree. If he had degradation or wasting away of the bones, I also assume the bones would have been restored to some degree. At the end of the day, I think Kaseki has a good couple of years. Well, I think he has a few decades on him because, the issue with old age is that you're constantly wasting away. But if you regain what's been wasted, obviously, right, he's probably going to last for a long time. So it wasn't a total bust. It was pretty cool. And then chapter 120. Chapter 120, we end up with the reveal that there is a figurehead situation and that I think his name is Ebody. He is the one who is actually behind everything. And so this makes sense to me. A lot of people were expecting this because they saw the situation and they found it weird how this thing worked. And then you have Ebody, he is the old man. Then you have just regular fiction. And, regular fiction is just, oh, you have a king and then you have the advisor. How often is the advisor actually the evil one? Pretty often. Who would have thought? So it's that kind of situation. But one thing I do appreciate here is that when it comes to Ebody, he is, how would you say this? He is the weirdest person here because he's been watching what Senku and the others have been doing a lot. Like, think about it. If you go back through the chapter, you end up in situations, or not in this chapter, but other chapters, where Ebody was always looking around. When the boys are off doing stuff underwater, he's looking at the water surface. Nothing ever came of that. When the boys got away on their little vehicle, thanks to Suika's help, he looked down at the tracks. The reality is that we have a weird situation unfolding on this island, that being, how did the petrification beam get on this island? Like, think about that. This is an uninhabited island. Someone tracked these people and gave them a portion of the doomsday weapon. And it's like, how? How did someone manage to do that? Is Ebody the one who is actually the insert here? Is he the one that is responsible for the petrification beam? Honestly, tough to say. He hasn't reacted enough. He may be playing a long con for the readers. We don't know. And even at this point, there's still a lot of missing information. So right now, I feel like this old man might have a lot of things going on. I feel like he might be. I don't want to say that he's the one responsible for the petrification, because I don't think it fully makes sense. Like, it looks like he could be, but at the same time, it's just I haven't seen enough evidence to make a proper, a proper prediction here, and I don't feel very good with what we got so far. I only know that we have weird things that will probably at some point give us a situation where you could be like, okay, all this weirdness now makes sense after finding out about this one key detail. Speaking of key details, this chapter has some key details. Okay, but no, before that, let's just go piece by piece. Let's do this in sections, how we do it on the channel. So the first section is kind of we kind of took a step back in terms of the timeline, because in the previous chapter, Kohaku was locked in battle. In this one, we took a step back to see what had happened right before she got locked in battle, and that was pretty much Ginro is going to go up. He's the first member of the trio to get tested, unfortunately. So in that section, we go through the very nice Senku telling Ginro how exactly he can get out of this sticky situation with some good old science. So that portion was pretty cool. I do want to say that because this thing is in play, maybe Ginro will be able to get away, because if the thing is going to cause disorientation, I think it's fair to say that, well, the old man's still being affected by it. So, fingers crossed. I think that hopefully the drunkenness will give Ginro enough of a chance to get away. Then again, Ginro's also a combatant. Yeah, you know, he's a joke, but he is one of the people that was guarding the village, right? So he must be a relatively good combatant. Yeah, you know, thinking about that, this might be a moment for Ginro. He might get the opportunity to actually do something and actually be worthwhile. Like, you know, every now and again he gets that worthwhile moment. Also, you know, this is probably good for him. It's good for him to see how scary it is when someone behaves the way he behaves. Like, just with, like, how did the chapters call him back when he was being just a total sleaze? Like, when he decided to take Ruri for himself. Look, man, the guy's a sleazeball. It's probably better that he sees what he could end up becoming. Yeah, remember, he wanted to have a harem. This is actually probably karmic. It's actually very karmic that he's the one that's getting... Yeah, alright, you know, I really appreciate that. It's good that he's the one getting this trauma. But yeah, no, I do hope that the kid survives this. Now, I'll just skip over the portion that had Ginro actually going to the statue. He hasn't seen it yet, and him not being able to lie, and then Ebody getting ready to go in on him. You know, there's already enough to talk about. I already mentioned some stuff there. The next important portion was really the fight with Kohaku and the best warrior on the island, Mozu, I believe his name is. That was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie, I've been pretty confused about who was the actual leader of this place. So when I saw what was his name? Orashi? I thought that he was the leader of the place initially back when I was reading the chapters, but I'm glad that everything's like just out in the open for me to understand, me and my pleb brain. So that's great. The fight scene looks pretty epic. Mozu going in there and him making the stand, telling everyone that he likes the harem and he wants to have fun and all that kind of stuff. I like that. And I like that we're having pretty much the best warriors on both sides going at it. Well, I should say best active warriors. Kohaku says that she's the Kingdom of Science's strongest resource, and I wonder if that's correct. I wonder if it's really Kohaku or if it's Hyoga, because Hyoga is on the boat, right? He's been turned to stone. If Kohaku gets turned into stone, and realistically she might, because there's someone with a stone weapon around. If she gets turned to stone, it's not like we don't have one more combatant ready to go. And in terms of other combatants, like aside from Senku going in with science superiority, we do have maybe Ginro. Ginro could probably do something. We do have some of Tsukasa's people with us as well. So, you know, I think we got options. I think there's options for who can go up against Mozu, although Kohaku fighting him, she might be able to get one of those come from behind victories, which would be great if we got it. Anyway, the next portion I think that's worth talking about is, of course, the reveal of this man who was turned to stone. So I think things make sense here. Ginro sees this and makes a connection to Soyuz. You even see like he has the same eye, and he also has like the same kind of earlobe. You can't see my ears, but you know, like earlobes are hereditary, I believe. So when you consider that, I think we can see how this could have happened. You got to remember that Soyuz told us that he was escaping the island. So maybe what happened was, you know, Ebody showed up. He stoned the man. Actually, yeah. How would that have worked? If Soyuz was running away from the island, I assume it's because it was that moment that this guy got turned into stone. If this guy got turned into stone, let's say 16 years, I forget how old Soyuz is, but let's say 16 years ago, you know, it's a ballpark. If he got turned to stone then, it means that the stone weapon maybe wasn't around like 20 years ago in the island's history. So the stone weapon came about later, and then Ebody took advantage of it. That makes sense to me. And he turned the guy to stone. Now, we also get to see the damage here, and, you know, props to the art. They did some pretty incredible things here. That said, there are some pretty weird things going on in this spot. And I see the way that this is working. I never thought that... I'm seeing the teeth, and I didn't think that the teeth were going to be retained. And so because of the teeth there, it makes me wonder, where did the damage on the guy's mouth, did that happen before stoning or after stoning? It's safer to say it happened after stoning, but I can't visualize that well. We know that when the stone is broken, we just see it's solid stone, right? It's not like you see cavities. We've seen Tsukasa breaking a lot of stone. We've never seen the skull cavity. We've never seen the space that your brain occupies. It's been just solid stone. And I assume that's because brain juice probably also got turned to stone. But yeah, I don't know. I want to say that this works better if he had the face damage specifically on his mouth before stoning, but I think it makes more sense if it happened after stoning. And when you look at the actual image, there's a lot of weird things going on here. Firstly, you can say that most likely he got his face damaged to this degree because the old man really hated him. Like when I see this kind of damage, that seems to me like this is anger. So I feel like the damage on him is predominantly from anger. This guy's not getting restored. We can't restore this guy. This guy's dead, man. There's a weird cut in this man's face, though. If you look, I'm going to zoom in on it here. You see that? That's a straight line. So I don't fully understand what's going on there, but that might have been how maybe Ebody... It looks like Ebody used this initial cut. I assume it's Ebody that did all this. To pry open the man. And then you gotta know, like, it's weird. It's like he used an initial cut, and it's so clean. And then the teeth are broken. The skull is broken as well. The way the teeth are broken makes me think, like, Ebody was trying to get something that was inside of this guy's mouth. You know, it's hard to tell. Like, this little bit of detail, though, that is a clean cut. At least from the way that the art looks, and I'm looking closely. It looks like it's a clean cut. You can even tell the difference in the damage. It just seems to me like he used the clean cut to get into the guy's mouth, and then he pried the rest of it open. Or like, you know, he like flaked off like this upper layer of what would have been skin stone. He flaked that off, and then he broke into the guy's teeth and tried to pull something out. It's weird. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. The damage looks really cool, but the damage is what has me the most curious. Anyway, you know, we could sit here looking at this image all day. It's a cool looking image. It's terrifying. It was pretty... It's cool. I never expected to see that level of detail when it came to a destroyed statue. And then we end off the chapter with Ebody showing off his wicked weird talents. They're really odd, man. Really odd. And we have Kohaku fighting Mozu. So overall, with the chapter, you know, it's interesting. It's really exciting. This is a pretty nasty situation. But the thing that I'm most curious about is obviously the guy with the broken face. I hope we get a nice backstory for that, like within 10 chapters. That would be good. Anyway, guys, gonna call it there for Dr. Stone. That's all I got to say for it this week. And yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Until next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day.